Hello guys, my name is SVB and I'm back with another video, and today I'm sharing with you a new series called Get Me Out of, and the first installment called Get Me Out of Plat. Now the premise of the series is pretty straightforward. I'm going to be coaching a player for a period of 1 month to see if we can get them out of the rank they're currently stuck in. For this installment, I coached a platinum support player called SuperJoshi, who's a mod on my server. Yoshi has been Plat ever since Rollock came into the game, and he's found himself increasingly dissatisfied with how things are going. He felt like he wasn't having much impact in games, he felt like DPS were too strong, and generally he was on the verge of quitting the game because he just wasn't having much fun anymore. So in this series, I'll be talking to him not only about support tips like positioning and ability usage, and a little trick I like to call the support drift, but also stuff outside the game, like mentality, healthy ways to approach the game, and also how to approach your training routine. Like I said, what you're about to see here is a whole month's worth of training condensed into one video, which is why it's so long. Hopefully you'll see some tips in here that are not only helpful to Yoshi the player, but also you watching. Also shout out to Code Spilo, who'll be making a guest appearance in the video, because I brought him in week 3 for some extra backup. Speaking of shoutouts, there is one more thing I have to shout out: Raid Shadow Legends. Yes, this video has been sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, and I'm here to tell you guys to play the game. Look, I know you see ads to play video games literally all the time, so I'm not going to shove this one down your throat. I'm not going to tell you how evil and horrible you would be for not playing this game, even though that's exactly what you would be. All I'll say is, I played the game, and I was genuinely surprised by how enjoyable it was and how much depth it had. Basically, it's a turn-based action game. Think something along the lines of a Final Fantasy game, maybe one of the combat systems from Final Fantasy X. You basically assemble a team of champions and then you send them into combat and they level up and they get loot, and you upgrade your loot and your champions to fight bigger and better monsters, and then you get better loot and even better champions and all that great stuff we love video games for. You basically use this thing called a portal to summon champions using shards of different rarity, and then you can customize and upgrade the gear of all your champions. This is my main champion. I think she looks pretty cool, but you might gravitate towards a different champion. There's several modes you can play. Those of you who love hardcore PvP elements may like the arena where you can fight other players. I could take these guys. Maybe not. Personally, I'm always a sucker for good campaign modes, and like I said, I was actually surprised by how the campaign works in Raid Shadow Legends. I was fully expecting some non-existent story that's just there for the sake of fighting, but there's a genuine narrative to the whole game, split into various chapters, and you get these neat animated Witcher-esque cutscenes to tie it all together, which fits a really nice aesthetic. Anyways, check it out. It's available both on PC and mobile, and if you use my link in the video description, you get yourself a bunch of free stuff like coins and gems, and even a free special rare hero, which is more of a head start than I ever got, so you should be thankful. There's even a live goal tracker down below, so we'll be able to see in real time who's joining in, and I've even got a special surprise in my next video for those of you who sign up and get to the highest levels, just as my way of thanking you guys. So that's all I wanted to say. I know no one really likes ads, but this is an amazing and free way of supporting me while you can have some fun yourself, so really, it's a win-win. So speaking of wins, let's get to the coaching and see if I was able to give some tips to help this player and you get some wins in ladder. Let's get to it, guys. I think the main things we want to work on are a little bit of positioning. Positioning is an error I see crop up quite a bit. We're going to work on some macro level decision making, because this is one thing that I'll refer to this more specifically later. But Yoshi is a very knowledgeable player. He's a coach on my server as well, so he helps other people. Sometimes knowing a lot theoretically doesn't always mean you are able to execute it in game. And there are a couple instances that I want to talk about with sort of strategic decision making, and particularly like when you're trying to lead your team as well, some things that went wrong. The final thing we're going to talk about is mentality and approach to the game, because obviously you have had a really troubling time recently. You know, you really sort of felt demotivated to play Overwatch, and
I have to be honest, without your Discord server and all the stuff we were doing, Metal Cup, unlike challenge whatsoever, playing with the mods I became good friends with, without that, I think I would have quit Overwatch already.
So one thing I want to comment on is something that we will notice a trend of later, is that your team is pushed up quite far and you're quite insistent on staying here. And if I go back a couple seconds as well, you'll see that you kind of very early get into this position. And then as you can see, your tank's starting to LOS you here, and there's a real danger that they might actually go way farther, and you're still kind of quite intent. If you compare it to your Ana is sort of trying to, obviously she can't right click from distance like this, but she's trying to get into angle of your tanks, whereas you are kind of sitting here, and I know exactly why you are, because you feel like okay, this is the spot, right? This is the good spot to hold. This is where they should be. And this is a theme I think we'll see in this game in particular, is that sometimes doing what should be done is not the right play when the rest of your team is doing what shouldn't be done. And in this case, with your team pushing out, I actually think you should be considering going a little bit closer, because if at any point this doesn't happen right now, your team isn't punished for this. But let's say that your Reinhardt decides to push this issue, right? Something happens to him here while he's chasing this Genji and this Reaper. You should be kind of ready to be closer should you need to bail them out. And that is ultimately the job of support, right? You can see he's actually taking a lot of pressure, and had something gone wrong that he didn't anticipate, and it's quite likely that could have happened. You would have had to have been there. With an ordinary support, let's say you were playing Ana, you would have to make these choices a lot more like in a concrete manner. Like you would have to pick a high ground and stay there, because that's kind of how Ana works, so she can't really rotate very easily. But with BAP, you have the option of actually rotating around very easily. So with BAP, even if you drop down here, it's not like a whole round trip to get back up to the high ground, right? It's just a sort of a holding of the control, and you jump right back up. Same for going to the left side. You can go here, you jump up, you heal, heal, heal. If you get pressured, you can drop down, take a few steps back, and back you can jump up to the high ground where you're preferring to be. So I think there's sort of a lack of use of the exo boost here and the real mobility that BAP brings, where you can actually be a lot more flexible with how you're positioning. So we'll see that more prominently later. Now, as you drop down, we're going to notice this positioning error that I was talking about. So we watch the length of this amp matrix now. You pop amp matrix, your Ryan gets anti, so there's no helping him. You kind of shoot shields. Your diva gets a little bit of healing from you, and again, you get rocked out of it. She's low HP, and that amp matrix is over, and really not a lot was achieved. And the kind of theme here is that it's a lot to do with anticipation, basically, and like I said, understanding the flexibility of BAP. So when you drop down, you should be ready to come back up to the high ground where you're a little bit safer, where you're not eating damage in the face of everybody else. And then what you do is, by popping the amp matrix here, you actually choke yourself up. So now if we watch it from other people's perspective, or the enemy team's perspective, you see how narrow an area they have to kind of A, deal with, and B, look at to deal with you. It's very easy for them to shut this angle down, and it's very easy for them to throw damage back in your face. They happen to not really do too much, but it's also very easy for them to kite that angle. So by choking yourself up here, you kind of reduce the effectivity of your own amp matrix, and your diva then ends up LOS from you, because again, like I said, you're in a choke yourself. You force yourself into a natural choke. Then you get rocked, and that confirms that you won't be able to heal your diva. Even you again have the option of jumping to the high ground and maybe doing something from here, but once more you opt the low ground. You walk through, there's a Sigma in your face, the Reaper Death Blossoming, you're forced to pop Immortality. Of course, it won't save you for very long in a Death Blossom, and then you die again. So now on the issue of the amp matrix not doing a lot, this is another thing I noticed, is that your target priority is BAP tends to be very focused on tanks. Like a lot of this was going to go on the damage we're speaking is going to go on the Reinhardt. As you can see, it's kind of Ryan, a little bit of Sigma, and then even when you get back up, you're waking up the sleeping Ryan. Now Immortality. So with BAP, he has great damage potential. Obviously, everyone knows this, and the memes about like him being essentially better than Soldier 76. The real effectiveness of BAP is in being able to quickly pick people off with like 2 or 3 taps, and then going back to healing, or primarily healing. And you really only get to do that with squishy support or DPS characters, right? Trying to contribute to like tank busting is fine in the pre-fights when you're poking and you're trying to, you know, burn down shield resources and force tanks to back up. But when the fight starts, really your target priority should be people you can pick off with a couple hits, and that's again where we come back to the same issue. Amp Matrix is the perfect tool for that. You know, from a high ground is very easy for you to potentially pick off an Ana, a Genji. The key always with support in particular is always anticipating where your teammates are going to go and being prepared to, like, you have to read their body language in a way, like where are my teammates going to go at any given point. Here it's obvious, right? Like, okay, well, they're going to go here. So you can prepare, okay, well, I need to be having this angle covered. Now, when we get up to this window, we chuck this Immortality out. It doesn't land, but I'm actually not... it's not the not landing of the Immortality field that I'm bothered about. It's more the attempt to chuck it here. So if I said I wasn't happy with the attempt to chuck it here, why would I say that?
And it is obviously Immortality field on the point or even on this rooftop would be wide in the open where everyone can shoot it from every angle and it wouldn't last long.
Yeah, exactly. Like with Immortality Field, there is a temptation. And I think this is one of the biggest misconceptions with Immortality. There's a temptation that when you see a teammate low, to chuck it immediately and just think, shit, this guy's dying, I need to save him. And yeah, I mean, that is a valid use of Immortality, but the problem with that is that, first of all, in like you said, in distances like this, is very easy to miss. Like, it isn't a projectile that's very apparent where it's going some of the times, and it's very easy to miss. Secondly, your Winston can very easily LOS it himself, right? He doesn't know it's coming. So he might, for all you know, he has his jump cooldown ready. He's going to jump away from it. You know, he's going to jump towards you. As it happens, when you chuck it, he's actually, you can see, he's already running away from the high ground. He's ready to get out of here. So there's the second danger that your teammates at any sort of mid to long distance will step away from it. And of course, when we stop and break it down for a second, what are you going to do even after you immortality him, right? So when we get up to the high ground again, at this point, even if you chuck Immortality, it's going to buy him a little bit of time, but what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to heal him. You're going to have to right-click and heal him back up. His HP remains the same. You're still going to have to heal him up. So you may as well just heal him up right now in the first place. If he dies, okay, he dies. But at least I still have this key cooldown that can potentially stop an entire ultimate, right? The point of Immortality Field is that it's more used as a, here's a source of damage I know is coming. I know this is coming and I can prevent it with more Immortality Field. Or as an aggressive, I'm going to throw it like around, hidden around a corner, and now I can peek without fear. I can do as much damage as I want for like 10 seconds or whatever. And I'm literally immortal. Now, if you see when your team pushes onto the point, it would be a lot more useful to have when this real mega brawl starts out, particularly when you both your now you see if you chuck it here, we know this Winston is eating damage, right? Previously he's kind of here, but there's no one necessarily immediately around him to kill him. Now we know that he's here and the entire enemy team are staring at him and they're going to try and kill him. Of course, you're kind of a little bit more fussed by killing the BAP. Eventually the Winston gets naded, but I do think you could have helped your brother out here. Now, this is where, again, we sort of a misuse of the immortality here. So this is a bit of a panic use, is what I would say again. There's a real danger always to panic use, but always immortality field should be used in a very controlled manner. It's like a very... It's very much an ultimate of like, I'm exerting control over this fight, not I'm panicking because I got hit by a Junkrat. Like, you use the self-heal, so as you can see, you're being hit away from the Junkrat and you're already going to regen up to like 150 HP. Now when the tire comes in, this Junkrat, all he has to do is just wait a little bit, and bam. You see, like, your instinct there gets you killed because you panicked at the first step of being hurt by the Junkrat, and you weren't in control of how you could have used the immortality. So just a bit of anticipation and, yeah, resist the temptation, right? Resist the temptation of like, well, in fact, how I would sum it up is, in a lot of ways, you need to treat yourself as any other healer. If you were Ana in that situation, you would have just tried to heal yourself up. You wouldn't have necessarily panic thrown the immortality. You would have just like tried to nade and keep yourself up that way. And even though you do have this powerful tool, always try and resist until you feel like only immortality field could save me here. So your Winston jumps in. At this point, again, you have to prepare, right? You've seen your Winston jump in. I think your immediate response should be to get on top of this and start trying to think, can I jump up and heal him? Now your McCree is anti, so unfortunately he cannot be saved. And now you kind of realize, oh shit, my Winston, but it's too late. So your teammates are just kind of throwing around you. But that is, again, life in Overwatch. And see, again, what you're doing here is, again, it's theoretically the correct decision. You're saying, we need to reset, guys. Come back. I'm going to stand here and I'm not going to help you. I'm just going to periodically jump and maybe I'll peek you if you're lucky. But that is not how Overwatch competitive works. You do have to be prepared to follow in. So here you actually have the option to jump over the top, but you've resisted. You actually come back. And although this seems like a small thing, this is I'm fixating on it because it's indicative of your mentality and your approach to this fight in the game. You're sort of saying no. You're saying to your teammates by this action, no, come back. You're dumb. You're being stupid, and you're right. However, if this Tracer gets this pulse bomb and she kills this Moira and this Ashe, for example, you're now in a 3v5 or 3v4, and now you can win this fight. But you would not be ready if that were to happen. You would not be ready to follow up. You would take another 5 seconds to get back in. So you have to be prepared that stuff could happen that you didn't think about. You have to, you know, it's a cliche, but you have to expect the unexpected. You have to, you know, someone could just clutch at any time. And you always have to be in a position that you're ready to follow up should that happen. As you immediately after getting onto the high ground, you then jump right back down to the low ground. See here? You right straight up, spend like half a second high ground, back you are on the low ground, and now there's so much danger here. So much danger. You're with your McCree again, and you're begging to be killed here. And you could have achieved the same outcome from back up here. Eventually you realize...
I don't know why I left the high ground there again.
It's not a conscious decision. I know you know that it's not a good position. What I'm saying is that you have this tendency subconsciously to jump right into the middle of things. So it's something you'll have to like think about as you get into games and actively work on. Like, you're a good player. I'm not gonna like mince words. You're a good player, Yoshi. But when you approach Overwatch, known you for a while as well, there's a lot of frustration. And a lot of it is directed outwards, and a lot of it is directed towards your teammates. And I know that internally as well, you're obviously beating yourself up as well. You're obviously thinking, "Oh shit, maybe I suck. Maybe I'm a Plat, or maybe I'm a gold player." If you direct so much of your frustration at your teammates, it's gonna leave you feeling very helpless and powerless. It's gonna leave you feeling, at the end of games, like, I don't know what I could have done. Like, I feel like I did everything, and it just feels like my teammates are dumb and they let me down all the time, right? And again, you said that in your stream about like, oh, I blame these guys, it's their fault. And it might be true, you might believe that. Everybody's experienced when they play Overwatch. Everybody does this. I do this. I've done this in the past where I'm like, shit, what are they doing? They're fucking idiots. But at the end of the day, the really healthy attitude towards climbing and just playing and having fun playing Overwatch, look inwards. Forget about your teammates for a second. Just forget about them. You have to almost play, if you really want to just, if your only goal is that I want to get better as a player and I want to be the best Overwatch player I can be, which hopefully is the goal that everybody really is aiming for when they play. You have to assume that all your teammates are basically god tier players who are never making a mistake. They may make tens of mistakes. In fact, they will guaranteed make tens and hundreds of mistakes, but you can't do anything about them. Nothing will happen. Like, you're never going to see these guys again. And if you walk away thinking, my teammates, you're only ever going to you're going to leave every single game with a sense of frustration. You're going to leave every single game feeling unsatisfied because you're going to feel like it wasn't in your control. It is in your control, right? Of course, it's difficult. And I'm not saying you can clutch every game. I'm not saying that you are at fault for everything that goes wrong. But you are in control of your games and you can make an impact on your games. You can make a better impact on your games. And the only way you're going to do that is just by completely humbling yourself. And you are humble, so I'm not saying that you aren't. But the approach is to just completely say, when I play now, and this is what the attitude I want you to take when we do this coaching for a month, is my teammates are robots programmed to play perfectly. Like, that's how it's going to be from now on. And every single thing that's going to go wrong, I'm going to look at what I could have done differently. Like, what did I do that could have changed the outcome of this fight? Like, that's what I want your goal to be, and that's what I want your approach to be when we look at these games and when you play your next games. When you feel that instinct creeping in, and it will creep in, it creeps in for all of us. When that instinct creeps in of, fucking McCree, what's he doing rolling forwards like a dumbass? Fucking Reinhardt, come on, push on. Like, I popped Amp Matrix to heal you and you're not pushing. You need to push that to the side. Vent it if you need be, by all means. But then afterwards, I want you to take a deep breath and be like, okay, well, where was my Amp Matrix? Could I have put it differently? Like, did I use my cooldowns wrong? Like, what happened? I just want you to focus on having a healthier approach to playing Overwatch and having a sort of a less frustrating experience every time you come out of the game. Now you're free to do damage. Like, there's nobody else to heal, right? The Mercy can heal the Ashe. There doesn't need two people to heal the Ashe. So now you're free to do damage. So this is good. This is where you should be shooting people. But again, who's your target focus? You're focusing the Sigma, the Zarya, bubbled Sigma, bubble Zarya. When all this time you could have been shooting the Echo. You could have been shooting the Junk. And you're ignoring the Echo, actually. The Echo is putting pressure on you, just kind of running from her. You're so afraid of taking this fight. So you see here, you see the Echo, you see the Junk. The Echo starts shooting you. Yeah. She's just living to try and kill you at this point. She's just like, oh, there's a nice juicy Bap here. Bap, let me kill Bap. Bap, where are you going, Bap? Bap, let me get you. Bap, there's a beam here for you. Bap, I got some stickies for you. Bap, where you going? Oh, let me get this Mercy. Oh, Bap's still here? Bap, come here, bro. Let me get you. Almost got you. So you see how long that Echo spent trying to kill you. You could have just killed her. You know, you think that like, oh, my aim is bad, SVB. Like, I can't kill him. What is this Echo's aim? This Echo is shit. Like, you're...
I'm not sure. That's what I actually thought. I'm not sure if I really would hit her, especially if with hit scan when she's that close. But like, I realized quickly that she's not gonna kill me in the near future. So I said, okay, just ignore her. I mean, yeah.
Well, yeah, but instead of ignoring her, you can just turn and kill her. Like, you BAP is like a surprisingly good duelist. He like you
have more faith in me than I myself.
Well, I should do, because you know you're doubting yourself. But look, you've now dropped the lamp. Turn and kill her. Kill her. Like, she's in your face. She's in your range. You've got a lamp. You've got a self heal. There's no way she wins this duel. Again, do you see the same tendency here? You actually like run a circle around your tanks to heal them. Watch. You can actually like run all the way, like do a little dance, a ritual circle around them in front of their shield to heal them. So it's that same tendency to jump out in the middle.
I think I was trying to get away from the echo behind me.
And see, again, you're just too afraid to take this duel. You could have killed her all this time. But because you're just like, oh, I don't think I can do it. I'm not sure I can duel this echo. She's still here chasing you. She still hasn't given up. She's been on this quest for like 5 minutes. Eventually, she's going to get it. I know, like, I understand what it's like to be a player who's like, oh, I'm actually not that technically very good. And I'm not even sure I'm technically as good as the people around me. But you have to take these duels. You have to like, the only way you're going to get better and the only way you're going to make more of an impact is take these duels. And you have to remind yourself, these guys are also in platinum. At the end of the day, they're in the same rank as me. So whatever their aim or whatever, okay, maybe they can out aim me, but I can out maneuver and position them. So, you know, take these duels. In Overwatch, it's always about seeing what you get put in front of you and then adapting accordingly. Like, if there's an enemy McCree or Widowmaker and you're like, damn, this person's hitting their shots, I can't peek this person, then you know, okay, well, they've got good aim. I'm not going to challenge them. I'm not going to take that fight. But if you get in the game, test, poke the waters, poke the bear, like, see how much what it does. Like, start trying to duel the echo. If she's winning, back out. You know, don't opt into the duel. If she's doing as she's doing now, which is like missing most of her shots, flying around aimlessly, now you know, like, okay, this echo isn't very good, so I can actually exploit this. And that's how good players actually win. A lot of people think that, like, players who are GM, they quite often make it look easy winning in plat or winning in gold or even diamond, right? And people think, oh, the reason is because the GM players are just so good, like they're just so mechanically gifted that they always win. Most of the time, all that these players know how to do is exploit mistakes and exploit players who are exploitable. This Echo, I mean, no disrespect to her, but from what we're seeing right now, she looks exploitable. She looks like a player I could kill easily and make it a 5v6 every time. Right? So that's how you have to adapt to the game. That's how you have to look at the game, and you have to think, okay, in this game, this person is the weakness. They're always out of position, or they're always like going on flanks and just not able to finish these duels off. So this is how I'm going to win. This is now my win condition, right? So don't be afraid. Don't like always assume that everybody you're playing up against is a mechanical god with no brain. Again, I think your like positioning is like very in the center of things. Like once more when you drop, notice that you're kind of just hanging around in the center. Like you're not really hugging the corner. You see, you eat that Zarya shot because you're in the center, and then it forces out your shift. Compared to your Moira, who is actually hugging the corner a lot more tightly. So when she eventually arrives, so you can see she's actually like right on the corner, which is, you know, how supports are, and you know this as well, how supports is supposed to be positioned a lot more corner centric, so that you can just peek and heal and, you know, get around corner should you need help, should you need healing. But yours is a lot more center centric, and that causes you to eat that damage. Then a halt goes out and you kind of continue to shoot the shields even though the Sigma gets hooked in, which is a little bit odd. But that's fine, it's not hardly a major issue. But again, we're kind of drifting very much in the century kind of areas. There's a real tendency here to hang about in the middle. So you see again, in the middle, 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 in the middle. Now we go to the corner, but then we're gonna come back out really quickly again, back in the middle. And you see, you're not even like close to your own shield or a corner. You're just kind of hanging out in front of your Roadhog. So you're really just asking to get a stray something to hit you. So just be careful about that. Like something to bear in mind. Like try and more consciously pull yourself towards corners. Hug the corner. You know this, but just you have to remind yourself in game as well. Like Yoshi, drift. It's basically what I would call the support drift. Like as a support, your natural instinct should always be like, once the fight starts, just always drift into a back cover position. At least these kind of supports. So Zen, Bap, Ana, this is what you want to be doing. Now we're going to watch Yoshi stream. The reason I'm going to bring this up is I want to note his comms a little bit. I want to talk to him a little bit about the kind of stuff that's being said. And we can see a little bit of his POV. When the doors open, again we do some spamming. And again, we're kind of right out in the middle here. You see again the same thing. In fact, maybe we can do like a back and forth switch of between your POV and the replay. So as your team is sort of hugging this natural cover, you're kind of drifting further and further away from the payload and away from cover. So you're giving this angle here for this Ashe, and she brings in 2 shots to the dome, unfortunately. So you see here, quite a distance between you and the payload. 1 shot from the Pharah, 1 shot from the Ashe.
We need to counter that Pharah. We can't play without hit scan. We can't.
So yeah, again, see, what I wanted to kind of talk to here through the comms is that little bit of like, it's quite, and you said this, you can quite clearly hear the frustration in your voice. And a lot of it is very like externally directed. So like the kill comes in, your immediate reaction is like, no. And it's like you can feel that sense of like, oh shit, like something's wrong here, something's wrong, and you kind of instantly turn to be like, we need to deal with the Pharah, guys. We need to deal with the Pharah. If we're thinking purely from like, I'm Yoshi and I need to get better at Overwatch, what you really should be thinking is, why was I out in the open? Like, it's nothing to do with the Pharah because it's the Ashe who killed you. So it's really like it's see again the emphasis is on the Pharah in your.
Pharah is their win condition.
See, Pharah, you're tunneled on this Pharah, and obviously it's fair that you guys are struggling to deal with the Pharah, arguably. Although I'm not sure she's doing that much work, but even if your mentality is we need to deal with the Pharah, we need to try and get a more healthy sort of approach to it, where it doesn't feel so born out of frustration. So again, Yoshi kind of talking about we need to switch.
No progress whatsoever.
Yeah, no progress whatsoever, says Yoshi. So you can see he's very frustrated again. Now that the grab goes down, you kind of walk in, trying to follow up. This is a good transcendence because, if it wasn't for it, your Reinhardt would die.
No, why would you use Cole and Transcendence?
But see, again, your Moira happens to pop coalesce at the same time, but your response is like a one of, again, a frustration here. You're like, no, why would the Moira pop it as well? Like, she's dumb. She doesn't understand I'm popping Transcendence. But of course, you didn't tell her you were going to pop Transcendence, right? And she's just responding to the same things you're responding to. And you know this. You know this in the cold light of day. But in the game, your first reaction is, potentially get at her, right? You're trying to, like, shift it towards her as, like, her fault. But, it's fine. You get the kill. Again, we're drifting in the center here, so we're very front on. We're in front of our tanks now, in fact. We're going really deep and aggressive. So again, we're not going to dwell on the same issue. It's an issue now, the going too deep in the middle. Now it's good you're drifting to the cover. But now the Transcendence is there, which is unfortunate. And you reset. That's fine. That happens.
Yeah, let's focus the Pharah, okay? Everybody just focus.
Yeah, that's what I say since 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
See, again, your teammates are like, and again, these are your stack, right? So this is not even like a bunch of random idiots. This is the stack you signed up with, and they're like, well, we need to deal with the Pharah. And again, the frustration comes out. You're like, well, yeah, that's what I've been saying for 5 minutes. And again, you're right. You have been saying it for a while, but this is like indicative of why I think you've been struggling to enjoy Overwatch so much. Is because so much frustration here, mostly at your teammates. But at the end of the day, you need to remember, it doesn't matter if you lose this game, right? And in fact, you're going to win this game. But this game will not define you, Yoshi. This game will not, even if this is called Get Me Out of Plat, this game will not define you. This particular round will not define you. What will define you is your attitude to this exercise and how you basically come out at the other end of it. Summarizing for your own benefit and for anyone watching as well who maybe wants to apply this to our own play. Number 1, I've put positioning, tendency to jump into the middle of things. So have trust in your mechanics, but also push them. Push them, like I said, you'll never get better if you don't try. Also, when you get in a game, test how far the enemy team will let you go. Like I said, and like I was saying about the dueling thing, so see what what's the enemy DPS like. Yeah. You were just like removed from the fight. You were like, this fight is over, I'm out. And you just sat really far back and not willing to really help your team should something have happened. Even though like we said, it's possible that certain situations could have been clutched. Certain fights could have been turned by like a key thing and you wouldn't have been ready had it happened. So even though you know better, even though you know that your teammates are doing something that's questionable, be in a position, don't throw with them, but be in a position to potentially help them or potentially capitalize if they do something good. If you really want a healthy approach to Overwatch, and this is how I get peace, is to not always be like, of course there's plenty of times when you want to rage at your team, and I encourage you, please, sometimes it is nice to like, not in team voice chat, but outside of team voice chat, to just be like, man, those guys are fucking idiots, like, they don't know how to play, they're dumb. But after like your 10-second rant, 10-second vent, let it out and just come back and just be like, okay, well, that's fine. That's them. What about me? What am I going to do? How am I going to change myself? How am I going to change the game? You're not enjoying it because you're putting all this pressure on yourself. Yoshi played some games last week. As ladder B, it was quite a cruel mistress, and Yoshi ended up losing quite a few games and losing some SR. But again, I want to reassure you and chat and anybody who's in a similar situation that losing SR is not always an indication that you're playing badly. I know this is very, it seems counterintuitive, right, guys? Because the ultimate goal is to climb, and it feels like if I'm not always climbing, I must be doing something wrong. That's just not how it is. Like, ladder is a process. It's not completely results orientated. Think about it, and Yoshi, again, this is for you as well. Think about climbing ladder as something like a fitness journey, right? If you wanted to get fit, and let's say you felt you were a little bit maybe out of shape, overweight, and you wanted to really get buff, you wanted to really get fit, you would, the process of getting there is very painful, right? Like, you would start going to the gym or getting a personal trainer, doing exercise, whatever it is you want to do, and it's going to burn, right? It's going to burn initially. It's going to be a lot of hard work. Your body's going to be in pain. You're going to be sore days afterwards, and you're not immediately going to see the results. It's going to feel sometimes even like you're going backwards, right? Sometimes you might weigh yourself and you've actually put on a bit of weight, and it feels like all this hard work you're putting in is for nothing.
Well, that's because muscles are heavier than fat.
Exactly. So that's the hidden thing behind it, is that just because you don't see the progress doesn't mean that progress isn't being made. The journey is there. We won't always see the results, but the journey is there. He actually fixed a lot of the mistakes I talked about last week. It was just some different mistakes that crept in as a consequence of overcompensating. So we'll talk about that. So all of this is good so far. He's healing his team. Everybody's looking decently healthy. Now, his Reinhardt, so we're going to see here, his Reinhardt is pushing towards point. And back to Yoshi's POV. And he gets kind of drawn further to the left here. As you can hear, or you can already hear, the point is ticking up. His Zarya and his Rein are heading towards point, and Yoshi is now going to start drifting further and further left. So, this position is not bad, right? As anybody watching, you want to play back, this is not a bad position, because from here you can heal all your teammates on point, and you've got a decent bit of high ground, so anyone who can't, like, someone who wouldn't be able to contest high ground, for example, if a Torb or the Zen wanted to shoot Yoshi, they would find it hard because he can easily LOS them. So this is not a bad position at all. But watch now what happens. So Yoshi starts tunneling on this turret. Now he pops lamp wastefully again. The D.Va comes, dives him, she DMs him, and obviously for the D.Va and with Yoshi on it, having a Discord orb on him, this is an easy duel that the D.Va wins. He is thinking, okay, what I need to do is not get caught in the middle of the fight, so I need to drift a little bit further away. So he does the right thing. He drifts to a nice high ground position. The only problem is here he forgets where his tanks are going, basically. And this is going to be a theme of today, is that quite often Yoshi loses track of his tanks. So he ends up tunneling on this turret, goes a little bit too far, isolates himself, gets one-on-one by this D.Va, and he dies, right? His team will continue to get the point. As you can see, the point gets capped up. So it's not a loss in that sense. Like, it's not a big deal. But we're going to see it happen again, and that's where the problem creeps in. So D.Va comes in on the flank. Once again, same theme. Yoshi's Reinhardt and his Zarya are pushing towards point. D.Va isolates Yoshi, he turns in response, and he starts trying to duel her. Again, this might be another example of overcompensating for what we talked about last time. Because last time, we said to Yoshi, don't be afraid to duel sometimes. Now, his Ana is actually here trying to help him as well. But as he gets pushed away, he doesn't really realize that he's LOSing her. So she's not really able to help him. You can see he's kind of pushing himself into a corner, even running away from his own immortality. He eventually wins the duel against the D.Va. But as you can see from this shot here, you can see on point, 2 people are critical. And those 2 people, and his third person is dead. So both these supports have been taken out the fight. You can see the Ana realizes this now, and she starts trying to heal. But again, both supports have been taken out of the fight by this diving D.Va. And while it's great that Yoshi wins this duel, and he beats this baby D.Va in the end, which is a tough thing to do, baby D.Va's scary. The problem is that everyone's dead. Right? The problem is that he has isolated himself voluntarily. First, you have to learn and adapt to your team. As we spoke about this on stream as well when you were playing earlier, that adapting to your team, guys, is very important. So understanding that I have a team that never peels for me, or I have a team that always peels for me, or I have a opponent D.Va who always dives me, is very important to gaming ladder. You know, every game you're in, you're playing against the set of opponents you are. You're not just playing against the heroes that they're playing. You're playing against the people controlling the heroes. So if you realize that your team is not really appealing, they're not really listening, then that's information you need to bear in mind to make your informed decisions. Well, if they're not going to appeal for me, then I need to be careful to either be closer to them already or just keep pushing with them as they push further in. The problem is that it's just a waste of your time, right? Even if you pop Lamp, you pop your shift, and you beat her in the one-on-one, you've wasted all your time on your cooldown, and she's won what she wanted to do. She just wanted to distract you. She just wanted to waste your time and take you out the fight. So she's successful. Hopefully what you guys are getting here and what Yoshi's getting here is the same theme. The theme is the same. That Yoshi is failing to sometimes anticipate where his tanks are going to go. It's about how we're playing all the time. And that's really, you know, people ask me all the time, what's the difference between a master player and a plat player? What's the difference between a diamond player and a GM player, or whatever it is? The difference isn't that like one player is incapable of clutching and the other player isn't. The difference is that the GM player will play correct 90% of the time, and the diamond player will play correct 50% of the time. So it's just about upping those percentages. That's what really the process of improving is all about. Upping the percentage of how much time you're playing spent doing the right thing. Now this is another tendency, I know. So this is again another extension of the overcompensating here. So this is a position that you might see a lot of Ana players on, which is, you know, you get to this high ground and you can just kind of snipe heal from up here without being, you know, without any fear of being contested. But with BAP, that's just not, it's just not viable for two reasons. One, his healing is not hit scan, which means it's not instant. It has a travel time, which makes it awkward to land them properly, right? You'll see it a little bit here, is that Yoshi's not always going to hit the precise target he wants to hit. And again there, with the moment he looks, this is the other problem, is that because of the travel time, the minute he looks left, watch what happens if Junkrat gets killed, because he's not there to heal him instantly. He's not there to heal him as he actually takes damage. And in fact, he's trying to heal the Junkrat here. The Junkrat's taking a little bit of damage. He's trying, but these shots aren't connecting from this long range. So that's the first problem. The second issue is that, and not an issue per se, but the second problem with this is you don't need to really do this as BAP. The reason you do this as Ana is that once you get to like, it's not easy for Ana to get to this high ground, and once she gets here, it's fine for her to kind of sit here and occupy this position, because she's very immobile, and being safe from being dove is helpful for her here. But BAP doesn't need to do this. BAP can start here and then still jump up here if he needs to, right? He can still exo boots up here if he needs to. He can still exo boots up here if they start pushing point. Whereas Ana, if she starts here and they push point, the only options are to hide on the low ground, right? Whereas, again, like I said, BAP, if he's pushed to point, boom, I can jump up here now. So overcompensating, right? Overcompensating for the mistake he's making. But that's good. It's good, right? It may seem bad, but it's better that he's understanding what he's doing wrong and trying to fix it. And even if he's going a little bit too deep, and again, that lamp is another example of why you don't want to be here, because now you have to Kobe that lamp from halfway across the map to get it to where you want to be. But it's better that Yoshi's trying to fix his mistakes and going all the way to the other end than just forgetting what I told him last week and doing the same mistakes again, right? He's trying, he's understanding, he's learning. Hanamura, you know, Symmetra strategy is always viable. So we're going to watch his team. Again, at this point, I asked Yoshi, what is your role in this comp? And he said, you know, okay, I'm going to, they're probably going to TP with Sim, so I'm going to stay by the gates because I can probably heal effectively from the gates. And yeah, I'm going to try and keep my tanks up, and I'll save Nana for Genji. So it seems obvious, but reminding yourself of these things is very important. And maybe you'll agree with me, Yoshi, that like saying this out loud is probably really helpful to remind you to actually do it. Is that fair?
Yeah, true.
Right? So it may seem trivial to be like, well, why am I saying things I already know? But actually, and this may apply to a lot of you watching, if you feel like you also sometimes autopilot in games, or you something happens, you're like, oh, I should have known, I knew that was going to happen. Why didn't I prepare myself for it? It's because you've mentally, like subconsciously you may understand, but mentally you've switched off. So just talk yourself through what you think is going to happen. Anticipate what you think is going to happen. So we're going to see that in effect here. Yoshi was prepared to say the thing. Obviously this Doomfist comes in. Great sleep dart. Takes out the Doomfist. Nades him. Fucks him up. So already a huge play. Basically gets a pick. This is the equivalent of getting a pick. Now his Reinhardt charges in. But again, because Yoshi spoke about what he was going to do, he stays in this choke point. He keeps Lucy up, who was about to eat a face full of Symmetra turrets. Now, obviously, the shield is a little bit annoying and zones him out a little bit. It's Orisa shield here that we can see on the left. But he still does a good job, you know, with the angle he has. Again, you can see he's hitting most of his shots. Healing the Genji. Probably didn't need to get those. I don't know if those are accidental or deliberate shots on the Roadhog, but either way, you know, the priority here is... Yeah, so the priority here should be the Genji again. He's low HP and the Roadhog is fat, and your 2 hits on him are much less significant than your 2 hits healing the Genji. So again, be a bit careful about when you start to DPS. Now, easy first cap, again, down in significant parts to what Yoshi did, right? Significant part down to the fact that he picks the Doomfist first. This is where his team is going to start to struggle. They're not, spoiler alert, they're not going to get the double cap. They're only going to get about 60%. And this is where some mistakes start to creep in again. The same mistakes. So, as his team pushes forward, Yoshi is kind of waiting in this middle area. Now, he said in chat, I think he said this, if I remember correctly, Yoshi, you were like, oh, well, the Genji's dead, we need to regroup, right? I think this is the point where you were like, okay, well, we need
Genji,
to...
Yeah,
yeah, you were like, our Genji's dead, we need to reset. So you can see already his body language, right? His character's body language, he's moved his Ana back. He's not ready for the fact that his team might push in. He's going further and further back. Watch what his Reinhardt is doing. His Reinhardt doesn't agree. His Reinhardt's ready to go. He's literally...
I did not agree at all.
rain hard over here. He really does want to make it rain hard. Look, as Yoshi's scoping in, he's ready to go. And the fact that Yoshi took those steps back here are going to put him at a disadvantage now. You see, now he's struggling to keep up. As his Reinhardt starts to push in, his ball is starting to push in, and there you go. Reinhardt presses shift, and with that one maneuver, because Yoshi is all the way back there, because he's not anticipated that his Reinhardt might do this, he's now way out of LOS. 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds where he's not able to heal his team. He just about gets there in time to heal his Reinhardt, keeps him up, helps his Lucio as well. But already, that's the point where his Reinhardt could have died, and that fight would have been definitely over because of Yoshi. And now, this is where Yoshi plays well again. He gets the high ground, and he's in a good spot. But that instinct kicks in once more. He drops the low ground accidentally. I think on stream he instantly said this. You were instantly like, oh shit, why did I do that?
I'm not sure about that. I don't want to defend myself here, but I don't know if it was on purpose. It could be.
So regardless, I mean, the point we're trying to establish here, he gives up the high ground, which is actually a very good spot. But again, now he does the right thing. So we're seeing a player in the process of learning. That's what we're seeing here. He now does the right thing. He gets hooked by the rogue, but he manages to survive. His team peels for him, right? His team here has peeled for him. He then finds a nice position out of everybody's LOS. And this is something to bear in mind on Hanamura, if you ever get forced in the low ground, this is a great spot for Ana, because out of LOS of the spawners, as you can see, if they come here, they can't see. If they come from here, they can maybe barely see if they happen to look that way. And if you're in trouble, you can tuck into this health pack room. So this is a great position from Yoshi. And from here, he's able to get so much healing done, right? He heals his Sim, he heals his Ryan. He gives the Mercy a little punch on her way out. Again, continues to heal his Ryan, nades his Ryan, keeping him nice and healthy. Peeks out, but only long enough to heal, and then he's back. So very good, disciplined, positional play. He's in the right spot. He's effective. He's in an effective range of his team. He's not in any danger. He's keeping an eye on this Genji right now. This is maybe a little bit too much again. You do want to be, again, you're doing the same thing where you should be checking on your Reinhardt. Don't hard scope, don't hard tunnel. You see he then dives. Yoshi was like, oh no. Gets the health pack, gets the beat, and now he's comfortable again, so he can resume healing. Nice sleep start on the Genji. Heals everybody up. Drops under pressure from the Doomfist. Gets punched, unfortunately. But, you know, by the end of it, it's 66%. In a fight that Yoshi was mentally ready to nope out of, right? He was already halfway here by the time this fight starts. So, this is the same thing I spoke about Yoshi last time. And he's clearly in the process of improving this. Is don't nope out of fights that might be winnable. Now, I was telling Yoshi, like, okay, what have you learned in terms of, like, the last round? What are you anticipating for? Well, you know your Reinhardt is aggressive. You know he likes to push in really, really hard. So be in positions where be ready for him to start LOSing you. Like, be ready for him to push forwards. Similarly, you know, Yoshi said, okay, well, this position is good because I'll be really far away. I can't get dove on. And that's absolutely correct. Like, this is too far to get dove on with one dive. This would have to be 2 dives. So if a Winston comp was in play, he'd maybe have to go here first and then make his way around and then dive her, or he'd have to go in here first and then dive her. So that's enough time to rotate if someone is playing a dive character. Like this Doomfist cannot get in here instantly. The problem it poses, however, is if there's a Widowmaker, this is a great angle for you to get sniped. Because if you're hard scoping from here, as you will have to heal people, very easy for you to get domed by the Widowmaker in that window there, or even on the top of the gates. What did we learn? The Reinhardt's aggressive. Where's our Reinhardt? What's he doing? He's being an idiot. He's being overly aggressive again. So, you know what? All this stuff that I say, it isn't out of my behind. I'm not pulling it out of thin air. Adapting to the players in your game is so important. You learned information. You learned is super valuable in every game. My Reinhardt's aggressive and someone plays Widow on the other team are 2 seemingly trivial points of information, but they're going to completely change how we should play this game coming up. So, you can see the Reinhardt's waiting for the flashy charge. Yoshi's in position. He's safe and tucked away right now. But now here comes the Rein. He goes for the pin. He connects. So good for him. And he gets a bubble appeal for him. Yoshi, you know, hits the Doomfist once. He heals his Reinhardt. His Zarya is fine. She has a bubble. It's a good first fight. Now, we've heard a Widowmaker shot. And again, anticipate what's going to happen. Where's the Reinhardt going? He's going out of LOS. He's chasing this Mora. Yoshi can no longer see him. You can see this clearly from this angle. Yoshi can no longer see him. So, adapt. Anticipate. Oh, well, if my Reinhardt likes pushing past the gate, I need to be closer so that if he pushes past, I can follow the way the rest of the team is doing. So this position is no longer viable. The danger is the Widowmaker. And right now, as you can see, she's in this window here. So she's not a threat right now. But one hook over here, and we're in trouble. So,
the thing
for
is,
now,
I
go.
even said at this exact position where you paused before, I was just saying I'm so surprised that the Widowmaker did not do. Then I saw it popping up. Oh yeah, exactly that. That was perfect.
And we can see from this exact screenshot that this little dot, this little green dot, happens to be very nicely aligned with Yoshi's head. And this is so close to Yoshi being domed here. Now, the mistake that Yoshi makes is he continues to sit at this angle. He's just been given one warning shot, right? And he continues to hold the exact same angle. Never, ever hold the same angle that a Widowmaker has just shot you at. Never. It's asking to die. But Yoshi still, and another warning shot, right? We're going to watch back from the Widowmaker's POV to see how close we get. You can hear how close he went. See, the Widowmaker knows. She knows where Yoshi was because that's where she last saw him. Yeah, see this? She knows exactly. Boom. The tiniest micro flick on the part of the Widowmaker saves Yoshi's life. But again, Yoshi doesn't anticipate. He peeks for the 3rd time. And this time, the Widowmaker is making it easy for her. It's the same exact angle every single time. Of course she's going to get you eventually. Reinhardt gets slammed. He's about to die a painful death. And at the last possible second, how close is this to not going through? How close is this? Let's find out. At the last possible second, Yoshi intervenes with the nano boost. This deserves the 2.5. Oh! Here's the animation. The health hasn't kicked in though. So this is when nano boost would ordinarily go to waste. If the Reinhardt died exactly now, this would go to waste. Half a frame or something like that is what the difference between this Reinhardt living and dying. But this is a clutch play from Yoshi. Gets the nano boost off. Now the Reinhardt turns the table. He gets 2 swings off. Kills the Rein. Kills the Mercy. And as Kyle's pointing out, the sim turret provided the 0.1 seconds of slow to help with that as well.
It did. It
so
did.
now, but again, so what I said, Yoshi plays a lot better. So this time he doesn't make the same mistake again. He was punished for the mistake once, forgivable. Never, like, punished for the same mistake twice, you're an idiot. So this time he's looking, he's like, okay, well, I need a better position. Where should I go? Is here good? Now it's kind of like, I don't know, Yoshi, this is still in the Widowmaker sideline, because as you can see, the balcony above where Yoshi scoped right now is still a very common Widowmaker angle. So Yoshi's kind of like, maybe I should think about a different spot. And the other problem is that if your Ashe is hitting the same angle, it draws attention to the enemy team. As a support, you don't really want to draw attention to yourself. So if an Ashe is shooting the same angle, you probably want to find a different angle, because if they start shooting her, they'll inadvertently see you and start killing you as well. But now eventually we're going to settle on a better position, I think. As this fight ends, we're going to... and you can see again, this is why this position is important. Why it's important to push closer to the choke point is this. This, what the Reinhardt is doing right now, he will do. He will do all the time. And if you're not ready as a support, if you're not in range, your team will be punished in its totality. Which is why this kind of position by this building is more effective, because now if the Reinhardt LOSs, it's not too long a walk for me to step around the corner, take a few steps here, and potentially nade and help him here. So Yoshi realizes this, he gets a little bit closer, and now he's in a much more sort of healthy position to potentially help his Reinhardt should he get in a little bit of trouble. For the time being, he's disciplined, he's not really peeking because he knows his Moira is coalescing everyone. So he's kind of healing his Rein, keeping him topped up. Nice nade on the Hog, basically fucks him up completely. Sleeps him as well, and that's basically Yoshi's kill there. He's naded and slept the Roadhog to take him out of the fight. Now the Reinhardt swings on the Genji, takes that kill. Moira rates in. So Yoshi gets a nice couple shots on her, but again, this time, a little bit over tunneling. Our tanks are over here. Look what our Reinhardt's doing. He's off. We really need to be helping our Reinhardt because the Ashe and the Symmetra can surely deal with one Moira. So we really need to be looking at our tanks here. So same issue. Sometimes we lose track of our tanks. But in this case, the tanks do alright. They slam, they grab, they lock up the point. And a full hold Hanamura comes through. Find the happy medium, right? Because we, in the first VOD review, we spoke about you going too close. Now you're trying to go too far. And we just need to find that happy medium. And I think you're there. You were there in a lot of parts. You just need to sometimes curb yourself. And again, don't put yourself down for not getting it right instantly. Because this takes some people weeks and months and years to learn. And this is probably the major thing that I would say is watch your tanks. Exactly. Watch your tanks. Don't assume your teammates are going to do the smart thing. Just assume that they're going to do what they've been doing. And often just assume they're going to do something stupid or crazy. Like with Reinhardt's, assume they're going to just charge. Like you've been in enough pugs with me to see Reinhardt's charge all the time for no reason. And even when you explicitly tell them in the game, don't do a stupid charge, 5 seconds later they will still do a stupid charge. So take that same attitude into your games where you're like, well, my Reinhardt might charge. Don't tilt. I've already seen you fix a lot of these things. It's just sometimes you do them. Like, because it takes time to really get it all cemented into your brain till you're never doing it. So when I was watching Yoshi in the Hanamura game, at the end, the Reinhardt in voice chat was all like, "Ugh, 11k damages Reinhardt. Ugh, look at that." And I told Yoshi in chat, like, the Reinhardt thinks he carried, you've clearly done your job. Like, that is the truth of support play, is that when the Reinhardt, who's been charging on cooldown and being an idiot, thinks that they've carried, you have actually carried as support. We'll get to see a lot better representation, I think, of how Yoshi's progressing. Because I do think you are progressing. I just think that sometimes we can end up taking a step back on a particular day or particular games. Right at the start of this sort of process, we were looking at Yoshi's plays and we found that he was quite often going right in the front of all the action and getting picked as a consequence. After pointing this out, he started to overcompensate a little bit. He started going a little bit too far back. But here we're seeing him occupy a much more sort of a middling position. You know, if he was too far up, he'd probably be like right here. And then, you know, getting swung at by this Reinhardt, getting spammed at by this Symmetra and Ashe. And if he was overcompensating, he'd probably be, you know, back here by the statue, really far away, getting LOS a lot. Right now, he's in a much more middle ground position. I wouldn't mind a little bit closer here as well, just next to this pillar, because it's better cover. Right here, you can obviously, if somebody started shooting at you, there's not really immediate cover, whereas here you can kind of like, you know, play ring around the pillar. So first kill comes through, clearing out the sim turret. Here we could do with a little bit of heal priority, which is a sort of slight issue that crops up from time to time. Because when our Mercy flies by us with critical...
yeah, definitely off healer should be...
So yeah, right there.
At least out of critical.
Exactly, right there as the Mercy eats the damage. Anybody critical is your first priority, basically, as any time as a healer. That sounds fairly obvious, but quite often I see people prioritize, like, you know, half HP tanks over a critical Mercy, for example, and it's very, very important. Anybody's critical, whether you're DPS or your tanks, you go for the critical target. So little bit of an issue. Again, the same kind of issue here. The Genji's critical, but we're a little bit tunneled on our Reinhardt. So again, if I take it back, so there, instantly our crosshair should flick to our Mercy, heal her. Then we see our Genji to the right. You can see he's getting swung at by the enemy Reinhardt. That should be getting our attention. Again, the Mercy then steps forward like a little bit of an idiot, but she's also desperate to keep the Genji up. But generally, we're doing well, right? We're not out of position. We're keeping everybody topped up. Everybody's healthy. You can see that Yoshi tries to drift back a little bit because he senses that the Zarya is coming a little bit closer to him, so he wants to just get that safe distance. When he realizes it's all right, he comes back. Does eat quite a few fire strikes. One thing I've noticed, Yoshi, you do eat quite a few fire strikes, but that one is okay. I forgive that one. So all good so far. Slam is interrupted. Our Reinhardt goes a little bit deep. Sort of a bit of a theme, but we're working on it. We've been getting better. Here, I like the nano boost, although again I think it could have been a second earlier. So we look it back here. You know, we can see our Sigma getting critical. I think an instant nano boost here, potentially even on the soldier, because I think it's easier to nano the soldier and keep the Sigma up rather than the other way around.
That would have been my priority target. That would have been the soldier, but like I just got it in that second. So.
And one tip I'd give you as well is like if you know you're coming up to a nano boost, I would just be spamming Q. I would just be spamming Q at 98% or whatever, because I want it instantly. The minute I get the boost, I want it to go on someone. So otherwise, if you wait for the so here, if you're spamming Q, and let's say your crosshair is a little bit lower, it goes instantly on the soldier, or instantly on the Sigma even. But if you wait for the visual cue, you see in that second the soldier's now dead. So just a minor thing, but all this play is very, very good, right? We've cut out a lot of the mistakes we were making earlier. This Moira decides that she's full DPS Moira, rates into backline, claims herself 2 kills. But that fight loss is not really our fault. It's just the fact that our Reinhardt kind of got a bit too aggressive. SCP, how can you... I assume this means how can you know that your Genji is not worth the nano? I think it's an on-the-spot decision. Like you have to make the call at the time. Like the thing about Nano Boost and Nano Blade is like it's there to win you a fight. If you're gonna lose a fight if you don't nano a particular person, for example, let's say your Reinhardt is dying and if you don't nano them, you're gonna lose this fight. And there's no point saving the Nano Boost for the next fight if you're gonna give up point percentage or payload presence or whatever it is that you're actually gonna give up by losing the fight. The Genji can still get kills vanilla with the blade, even though they will tell you otherwise, even though Genjis will whine relentlessly. So it's just a decision that you have to make in the time. Can we win this fight? If I don't nano, will we lose, basically? Sometimes you get stuck in a position and you don't move till a little bit too late. So here, as in this frame, we can see our tanks are basically full HP. You know, our Sigma's missing like 1.5 bars, 2 bars. But our Mercy's around as well. She's Valking. So at this point, if I know nobody needs healing, I'm going to take this time to start pushing up. Because I know having just nano boosted my Reinhardt, I know in this position having got a pick that my tanks are going to push up. So I want to get to here as soon as I can. Whereas what ends up happening is you kind of tunnel here. And you're still staying scoped. And that can mean that later, when this happens, you're not necessarily close enough to affect the play. And also those shots you hit, which were on people who didn't need healing, are now gonna make like this is the time when you scope here.
I'm gonna reload my magazine because I think I was out of ammo when everyone was on the ground.
Exactly. So this frame here is when I would say, okay, nobody needs healing. This is my time. I'm gonna reload my clip. I'm gonna push forwards because nobody needs me right now, and that buys me the time for future me to be in a more effective position. What ends up happening is you pump 1, 2, 3, 4 shots, and now you're down to 2 left in your clip. In fact, you use the last couple there as well. And now when everybody's actually slammed and needs healing, you're not there. So one person dies. You forced, you know, your nade is nice. But now you can see the thing about healing is it's always like a snowball process. If you let people, let's say, take 100 points of free damage and you're not in position, then later when they take another 200, you're going to be panicking now and you're going to have to use more cooldowns to heal that extra HP that you could have just healed had you been in a good and effective position in the first place. So that snowballs here to where you're like, now you have to spam heal, right? You don't even have the time to... See, the 1 second you spend looking at your Mercy, your tanks are back to critical. Because, again, all of this is catch-up. You're having to catch up. Now here we see a Pharah, so you know, we're pondering about contesting her. What I would say is the only sort of complaint I have is that you tend to... When you scope, you tend to stay scoped in for many, many shots in a row. So remember, I kind of spoke about this in the last stream where I played Ana, is 2 shots and switch, right? 2 shots and I need to scope out just to see, unless I'm 100% sure that I can see everybody in my frame and I'm confident that I can keep sniping. After 2 shots, I want to just get out of my scope here. You're going for 3, which is fine. Both times you did 3 there, but there's a danger that out of your sight line, someone might go low here. So far this is all good though. We're in a healthy position. I think that sleep attempt is questionable because you see here, Sigma's critical here. He gets healed up a little bit, but now as you reload here, your Reinhardt's just charged in, and your response is to try and sleep. So whereas if you just try and start spam healing him, so you miss 1 shot, and then the Ashe gets in the way the second shot. So 2 shots. In fact, well, this would have been the 3rd shot that the Ashe now hits. So we could at least hit 2 shots on him. That would have probably kept him up. And you know, the snowball again, the same theme. The snowball of support is that and it can feel really shit when you're playing a hero like Ana, where it's like, oh, if I hit that 1 shot, he probably lives, and then I can keep hitting more shots. And now recognizing that the enemy team is going to push in, you start to back up. But this is a little bit of noping, as we can see here. We've spoke about this before as well with Yoshi. Don't nope out of fights. Now, the first problem you can probably see here is your position relative to your tanks. What's kind of going on there?
Like the problem is, I think that was the reason why I went back for a bit there, because the opponents were about to get between me and my tanks. I did not take the trip towards there, because I wanted to like have my normal position on the mini health pack where I was at the beginning, because I have basically sidelines over the whole point. If I'm on the opposite side, then there are many more barriers or doors whatsoever, which really hinders my long range healing. So I wanted to stay on this side. If I go across the whole map, first of all, I lose a lot of time, especially when I want to get back there. So it might just be that I wanted to be on like the better Ana side of the map.
Yeah, and so what Yoshi's talking about here is that obviously this side generally is a lot better for Ana, because you can see the sidelines are a lot clearer, and there's like decent enough cover that she can keep herself safe. She's away from the action on the point, so it's a very nice spot generally. But again, this is a sort of a theme that crops up fairly frequently when I watch your gameplays. You're often very, very wedded to the idea of a particular spot, and you end up staying there a little bit longer than is beneficial to you. Because obviously, if you think about it, why is that spot good, right? It's a good spot so that you can heal people, and so that you can, you know, have an impact on your game. But if that spot means that I can't, if my tanks are now out of my LOS, then what the hell is the point of that spot? The point of anything is just to be in a good position. So good position although there are good set positions, really it's all about position relative to your team. So there's plenty of time here to walk to the other side, because you know that your tanks are going to back up this way, right? They're going to back up towards this direction. So what ends up happening is you perhaps made the call even to go back, but you're way, way, way far away from your tanks. And as your Reinhardt tries to back up, you see he just gets caught out. His barrier breaks, and he's dead. So I've decided to bring Spilo in here today and let him have a crack at coaching Yoshi. So for those of you who don't know, Spilo, former Uprising Academy coach, like I said, great educational content creator, a frequenter of our competitive Overwatch and our Overwatch University. Those of you who hang around those Reddits will know Spilo. But yeah, he just makes great content. He's a great VOD reviewer, both of players and of pro players. So Spilo, thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to the stream.
No problem. So I like that I was referred to as Big Gun. I was thinking more of like a pea shooter, but you know what, that works. So hello to everybody. It was nice meeting Yoshi a few seconds ago as well. But like Mr. SVB said, I'm a content creator, professional Overwatch coach, and I'm looking forward to working with you guys today.
So I'm going to largely take a backseat today, guys. I'm going to let Spilo do his thing. I don't want to backseat coach his coaching. So mostly I'm just going to let Spilo do his thing. He, like I said, he has quite a different approach. I'm the good cop, he's the bad cop, so he will not hold back, where sometimes maybe I do. And like I said, I think Yoshi needs the second perspective. So Spilo, go ahead and you can start the game, or if you want anything to discuss before we start, go ahead.
Okay, sounds good. Appreciate it, Mr. SVB. Okay, so the first thing with the toxicity, the tilting, the things like that, I think the number one thing that you can do is to actively recognize that it's a problem and look to take measures to fix it. And that sounds like such a basic forehead thing, but if you know it's a problem and you're going to be working towards improving it, then that's going to ensure that you're going to stick with it, right? There's a lot of things that you can do to deal with toxicity. but none of them are going to matter until you understand that this is limiting your capability to improve, which it is, and then recognize that you need to be taking serious measures to fix it. So I can give you tips and tricks like taking a break between games, getting up and exercising a little bit, focusing on your gameplay, going into games with your goals. Sometimes if you're being antagonized by your teammates, sometimes even leaving team voice, right? And just focusing on your gameplay for a while. I know that's not exactly a popular tip, but it works. I've done it. It works.
Yep.
So there's lots of little things like that you can do, but none of it's going to matter until you actually recognize that I am playing significantly worse when I do get upset. So this is something that's going to prevent me from getting out of Plat until I actually address it. So there's a lot of reasons for that. It could be like the mental focus that you have, could be how much sleep you're getting, could be the time of day that you're playing or how much you're playing in each day. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But the inconsistency, a lot of the times when it comes to anything in real life, because it comes from you being inconsistent as a person. Do you play at the same time every day? Are you changing how much sleep you're getting? Are you exercising? Are you playing the same amount of time? Are you warming up the same amount of time? Are you playing a bunch of different, like you're playing a lot of tank yesterday, now I'm playing a lot of support, and playing a lot of DPS tomorrow. Like, or I haven't played Ana in like a week, but I'm trying to grind her now. Like those kind of inconsistencies are very normal. And if you play inconsistent or train inconsistent like that, you're going to play inconsistent, and there's no surprise whatsoever about it. Okay, shooting shield here. Oh, critical. Good. Committing lamp and those long situations is always really scary because they might die before you even get there. In that situation, it's probably just better to heal, exactly what you did. Okay. Nice, great stuff. Beautiful job.
Gotcha, bitch.
Okay. Might as well lamp.
I realized I would not make it around the corner, so immortality was the call here in order to survive.
Positioning in general here is a little sloppy, but we're focusing on doing your job, right? So let's just focus on that right now. Unfortunate.
And now I could have used the immortality field, but I mean, if I don't use it earlier, I'm dead. So yeah.
Yeah, your positioning
lose situation.
Exactly. Your positioning forced a cooldown use out of you that you shouldn't have needed. But yeah, we're gonna keep an eye on your positioning though, because if that happens again, where your positioning forces you into a bad situation, then we will need to address it. Where on our screen right now could you position where you'd have a corner? You'd be a little bit further back, but you could still have LOS on your screen. Can you see the frame right now? I think there's like you can draw an arrow if you want to.
The car on the left side.
Okay, this would be better than where you're at. Where else could you go?
I could stay on the high ground. However, if they go under the arc, I already have to drop down again. And on top there is the danger of the Hanzo coming up again.
So I wouldn't be a fan of that. What about back here?
I mean, there are pillars that give you cover a bit. Problem here is I have a really long... My nades have a really long travel time till they hit, so I have to do a much harder job of anticipation of where my tanks are going, and if they have unpredictable movement, like they're trying to outmove the opponent, and then they are outmoving my grenades as well, because I think, okay, he's going to the right, so I'm aiming for the right, and then he's stopping, and my grenades does not hit anything, so I have to stay in a range where I don't have to anticipate where will my tank maybe be in 2 seconds.
Okay, so obviously it makes that a little bit more difficult, but is that a worthwhile sacrifice when you are going to be significantly safer and you can see everything in front of you? Would you say so? Especially considering you're trying to heal tanks, not squishies. I'm leading you to the answer, and the answer is yes, so you can just say yes. I'm learning that we're kind of having to force feed these answers a little bit, so I'm gonna be learning myself how to do this. So yeah, the answer is yes. And even your suggestion of playing around car here, which is not a good position, it is 10 times better than where you are right now, because you are playing at a distance. You can see stuff, you can shoot stuff, you can heal your tanks, and you can hide behind corners. And remember, you don't hide behind corners just because Hanzo headshots and Diva bombs. Hanzo body shots, it's harder for Genjis to duel you behind corners. Everything is harder for the enemy team when you're behind a corner. So
and spotting me.
Exactly, spotting you as well. Okay. Where do you think is the best position to use your ultimate? Is it where you're at now?
That depends. If the enemy team, of course, is engaging, then it is a good position. If my team is engaging, then of course it's a hard angle to it.
Yeah, the fight's happening here. Can you see anything that's happening here?
No. You can't. That's what I said earlier. The arc is a problem.
Exactly. So it is a bad position, and you should be. I mean, car here would be fine. Arch here would be fine. Even high ground back here would be fine. Any of those three.
Yeah.
So this is what I tell players. You have an ultimate. That everything else stops until you use your ultimate. Like, obviously, don't overuse, and if you can, coordinate with your teammates, but you position around your ultimate. If I'm Ashe here, I'm positioning here, not because this is a good position for Bob, or for Ashe, but because this is a good position for Bob, right? You get a good flank Bob, and that's the most important thing. Right now, you need to be positioning around how you can use your ultimate over everything else. Everything else is nothing else as important as this. And right now, it does not look like you're positioning around using your ultimate.
Oh, yeah, God.
If I'm being nitpicky here, what's the problem with your positioning again?
Attackable from all angles.
Exactly. You're standing out in the open. This is not good. Now, obviously, this is better than going up there, but this is still not where you should be. You're significantly more at risk from where you need to be. And if you think about it, even at a broader standpoint, the enemy team now can walk through your window and on top of you. That's just. Do you see any of your teammates right now? Your Ashe? Do you see your Sigma? Do you see your Zen?
Actually, not. No.
No, you don't. You don't see them.
The thing is, I think that was the situation where I said, "Oh, I forgot about my amplification, but it's where to put it. There. Oh, bad decision."
Exactly. So let's put it this way: if you start a fight and know that you were looking for a good positioning immediately, you will then also find a spot to then amplification matrix. And when you find a spot to position yourself, you find a spot to amplification matrix as well, and then you don't have to think about your teammates. Because right now, you're right. You're only thinking about your ultimate. But all you have to do is you think about your positioning, and the ultimate will line itself up. Because if you're playing here, you're going to have a good ultimate spot. You're going to see your teammates. You're going to know how and when to use your cooldowns. Because if we go back here, Q is a little scuffed, but if we go back right here, you don't even see Genji coming in. You have no idea where he's coming from. You have no idea if lamp is necessary. You have no idea if just shift is good enough. And as we said, the enemy team can walk right through your amplification matrix, and you're screwed. Oh, and now you're frontlining, as we've already said. So your priority needs to be walk out of spawn, find a good position to use ult and to see your team, and that's safe. And then the rest of it will take care of itself. You'll know whether you need lamp. You'll know whether you need shift. You'll know who you to shoot. You'll know exactly who are your threats. Because right now, you're not doing any favors to your backline whatsoever. I mean, look at this absolutely ridiculous position you have to put yourself in right now to get value out of your ultimate.
Between the payload and the Sigma barrier of the opponents.
This is a disastrous. This is absolutely disastrous. And you have no idea. Like, the Ashe kills a Genji. If Ashe doesn't kill Genji right now, you'd either have to turn around 180 degrees to help your Ashe or Zen, or ignore them, which is what you are doing, to get value out of ultimate. It's either or, and you shouldn't have to do either or in this circumstance. Okay. Again, what should be your priority? It's been a problem 2 fights in a row, which is why we're bringing it up. What should be your priority?
I'm staying at the same position I just died.
I would bet the house that you're not going to move from your spot right here. What happens if they diva bomb or flux? You're going to be caught in the open again. Like, if they bomb right here, once again, we're going to get our cooldowns worse. And stop right now. Do you see the problem with your positioning right now? Right?
Yeah, I lose track over half of my team.
Right. You want to heal some of your team, and you want to damage people, which is good. BAP is very good at damaging right now. But you can't see half of your teammates because half of your team is behind you or off to the side. Now, sometimes this is going to be a necessity. Sometimes you won't be able to see your team. Sometimes you're going to have to turn. Maybe sometimes the ball rolls behind you. Something goofy like that happens. It happens. But this particular circumstance that has happened multiple times has been very avoidable. And right now, it's causing you to have to do this again. And there's a Genji on your Zen, and you're having to turn at this awful, awful angle to even see him. And he's already done his work. Like, if this is a Diamonds Genji, this Zen is already dead, and you've had no opportunity to lamp him, shift him, heal him, or shoot him. If you position yourself better, and you feel how awkward this feels, well, this feels so bad.
Yeah. I have to run back because he gets into the cover, and
For Spilo, for players who are watching this who struggle to figure out where that good position is, what are the kind of principles you would sort of advise to them to figure out?
So I think in Yoshi's circumstances, he's already, as he said, a pretty smart player. He's a pretty smart guy. He's experienced enough to, if he sat down and called out a good position, he would pick good positions to pick. But for somebody who is a little bit less experienced and doesn't know, you're basically looking to do one of two things. And I think this is more important than all the other little positional things. Number one, keep your team in front of you. So like I'll just say field of view. And this is just where you position here so that you can keep your team in front of you, right? So if your teammates are little green X's here, just keep your team in front of you as much as you possibly can. As Ana, BAP, Zen, keep them in front of you. so that you don't have to turn around or look this way, that way. And the second thing is corner. Always have cover. Always. It doesn't have to be a perfect corner like this little wall right here. It could be like behind the car that we mentioned earlier. It could be behind the arch here. Like this position right here is pretty good. It's not bad, because if he gets damaged, he can duck behind a corner. He can see his team. He can see all of his team, and he's still behind cover. Now, there's a lot of other things like health packs and kite paths and things like that that are important with positioning, but nothing's as important as those two things. And we've already seen in this fight alone how Yoshi is not using cover, nor is he utilizing keeping his team in his field of view.
And cover is something that applies to every single one of the roles, and something I tell people all the time is it doesn't matter if you're tank, DPS, or support. Cover always.
And now, can you shoot here, or do you need to heal?
Everyone was patched up. No necessity
Everybody's patched
for
up.
healing.
You've got everything on your team in front of you. Now you don't have cover right now, so that's kind of sucky. But you've got everything on your team in front of you, so you know he's fine. He's fine. Maybe he needs 5 healing, but you don't need to heal him if they need 5 healing. Instead, you're just going to shoot the diva. That's the best possible thing you can do right now, and that's what you're doing. And why can you do that? Because you know exactly what your team needs right now. And how do you know that? Because you've got every single one of your teammates in front of you. And, you know, this is awkward, but you're getting the job done. So McCree is feeding.
Okay.
You know, so like, look, here's the deal. Could you have helped your McCree a little bit? Yeah. But this is the exception. Okay. Ball feeds. Ball doesn't come back. McCree is in Narnia. I have no idea what the heck he's doing. He's completely outside of your LOS. Maybe you could have positioned yourself a little better to heal him. But you know what? I don't care. And neither should you. It happens. Because you know what? Here's what's gonna happen. You've thrown what, 2 to 3 fights in a row with your positioning, and then you actually maybe make a better decision in the one fight, and that happens to be the one fight that your team throws. And that's how it goes. You know, that's the meme. Yeah. That's the joke. And it doesn't matter. So you ignore this one. Doesn't matter. Who cares? It happens. And you're gonna focus on doing these better. Because your teammates are thinking the exact same thing. Wow, I know I fed this fight, but the fights before I'm not feeding, I'm playing well, and my stupid BAP is just, you know, often like playing La La Land, you know, playing Tickle Me Elmo in the corner. I have no idea what's going on. And this is the result. Careful.
I get caught by surprise there.
Yeah. And again here, if we're going by our fundamental focuses of positioning, which ones did we break here?
The safety. I'm
Where's your field of view? Where's your cover? Can you see your Zen? Can you see your Genji? Can you see your Ashe? Now, sometimes Ashe might position where you can't see her because she's like at an angle. Right?
I just looked at the Genji on the left since he needed a bit healing, and then I turned around where my tanks were before, and suddenly they were not any longer there. I got caught by surprise there, definitely.
One friendly here. One friendly. One. Okay. And where's your cover? It's a second away, isn't it? What you're doing is you're the equivalent of somebody who says, I don't wear a seatbelt until I see a car incoming, right? And then I put my seatbelt in mid-accident. That doesn't work, you know? If you're going, oh shoot, it's already too late. Where are you right now? Do you have good field of view here? On
the street.
Yeah, I mean, good field of view. But what rule have you not have you broken?
The cover.
I'm no space, man. No space. I'll give you credit for the teabag. You can do that all you like. But you get no credit for playing that well because you're standing out in the open.
Yeah, basically the sleep is huge, and we applaud Yoshi for the ML7 sleep. But you basically force yourself in this position where if you don't land the sleep, you die, and you never want to do that.
Exactly. Now, I would not anticipate them like trying to do that. Like that's like some serious meme strat stuff, you know. But people will do that. People will do that in gold and plat and diamond and GM, and it will work until you go, I'm not going to let them clutch because I'm never going to be in a position to where they can clutch, right? Remember back on second point defense where that Genji just pops blade out of nowhere, right? Or you know, they bomb and then they force your lamp and then they blade afterwards and he like kills a couple people and maybe clutch, right? Don't give them that opportunity to clutch. Excuse me. Is your positioning here decent?
I mean, I am in the open, but the potential from where the opponents can come, there is the payload and my teammates in between. And of course, I think I'm positioning at the moment.
Cover is you know, you need to go a little bit further to the right.
Yeah.
One little tip again on this point is as soon as you can, you want to try and get to the opposite car. Get away from that high ground if you can. But this, if you play this corner right to your right, this is a good position. Now, I'm going to bet, again, my house and all the money that I have, that you're not going to go there. You're going to walk straight forward, and you're going to stand out in the open. And that's exactly what you do. Now, it's not a bad position. But it's
I didn't want to take the car yet because there was still some stuff going on the pale, which was right next to the car. That would bring me really close to the danger.
Exactly. So now you can go car, but before you should not have. That's good. See, again, you know this stuff. You know it. I don't have to teach this to you, okay? My job isn't to be like, oh, big brain, oh, you never thought of it this way, ha ha ha, like pat myself on the back. Like, you know this stuff. You know how to play the game. You know how to position yourself. All you need to do is actually know what you need to work on, and be yourself be disciplined enough to work on it. Starting with the very first things we talked about, which was structure. What is lacking on your end that you can do not perfectly, not significantly better, but somewhat better? What is going to happen not tomorrow, or what's going to start better today or tomorrow, this next time that you train? What's going to be better?
The checkboxes, 4 positions.
Sure. So in situations where you just can't play Overwatch, you're not going to, but whenever you can squeeze in a little bit of deathmatch, maybe one ranked game, that's going to be better. Are you going to be able to be more consistent with your warm-up?
I think I will be, because usually I'm not doing much warm-up, except like death matches in queue or something.
Just 10 minutes, like not 30 minutes, not 45 minutes, not it's huge stretch, just a little bit. In terms of in-game, you're going to work on your positioning first, because that's going to help snowball a lot of your other problems. At least, and remember, I'm not just saying positioning. I want you to think about your positioning more. Now, I gave you the field of view and the cover as your guidelines, right? That's something that you can work on with every single hero. But what you need to learn from this is that for you to actually improve as a player, you don't always have to have somebody come in and tell you what you're doing wrong. You need to be able to look back at your replay, look at your VOD, look at the situation afterwards and go, okay, what could I have done better? Because again, you've already proved to me a dozen times at least that you're a smart player. You know how to use your cooldowns, you know how to position, you know how to use your ultimate. Problem is going to be your consistency and you actually taking the time or the brain power to focus on what I need to work on.
So what I thought we would do now is do a sort of comparison of where you started from and where you are right now. So we're going to pull up your stream, catching up on the position. We're on Route 6, we're defending. We've already pushed the car to, our team pushed it for 2 points. So not all the way. A minute has gone of the game. And yeah, our team is starting to get dove on and pushed. So now the enemy team is going to push in. Yoshi has Amp Matrix.
Are we using aggressive Amp Matrix here?
If you hear Yoshi's voice, it's because it's on the VOD. So he says, let's use an aggressive Amp Matrix here. Junkrat, you want to help me? I think the Junkrat just responds by pressing Z to indicate that he's close to tower or something. So we throw Amp Matrix in a really bad spot, really bad spot. Because why? Because the payload is already covering half the zone. It's a really awkward angle. It's on the wrong side of the map. As you can see here, the rest of the team is on this side. So for them to get here, they'd have to come all the way over across the payload. So again, it gives the enemy team the option to go the other side of the payload. It puts us in an awkward spot because we don't have any protection here, and that's what's going to end up happening. Is that Yoshi actually ends up getting hit by the Lucio, takes him down to 50 HP, and then he has to back out of his own Amp Matrix. And then the Ana is begging for heals, so he has to go help her. So the Amp Matrix completely goes to waste. Now, again, we're kind of shooting the Winston. We turn and completely ignore our Ana, who was just to our right and needed healing. And again, we're not healing Ana. The tire comes and we shift in response to the tire rather than Immortality Field. Several people have died and we haven't used Immortality Field. So, the reason I'm saying this is not to roast Yoshi. This is not the roast Yoshi stream. What I'm saying is, look at these mistakes. I would not see Yoshi make now, I don't think. So, and again, we're DPSing this Junkrat when there's an Ana killing us. So I think we're gonna see. So again, we're shifting a tire. Wouldn't have helped us if the Junkrat had missed. We could have lamped ourselves. We could have lamped any number of people. We left our Ana to die. You know, we're long range healing the Widowmaker, which we know now is kind of pointless. And now, as there's an Ana shooting, we jump up first of all, which is always terrible against snipers. And then we're not in anywhere near cover. We get sniped by our Ana. So That's that play. And now I want to show you some play from earlier. I don't know if this is the 5v6 or not, but let's have a look. So Yoshi's team is sort of clearly undecided on their position. As you can see, the Reinhardt was starting up on the high ground, now he goes to low ground. So ordinarily, Yoshi's like, okay, I'm sitting here and I won't. And as we've seen sometimes from the Ana game that we just saw, sometimes Yoshi's like, oh, well, I'll just stay here then, this is the good spot. Not this time. So as his team pushes up, see, Yoshi adjusts. He's adjusting, pushes up with them. So he's now in LOS with them. He's healing them pretty decently, right? And again, natural cover. I would like him to be a little bit further up, but still, the principles are right here. He's natural cover. He's watching his team. He can see all of them. He's not just standing really far back and thinking, well, they'll have to come to me eventually. No, he's trying his best to be in position relative to his team. That's the important part. We're trying our best to heal everyone, and we're not putting ourselves in awkward spots. Again, we're sort of using the exo boots proactively, which is something we spoke to Yoshi about. You know, always, you don't have to just only stay up or only stay down. He's going up and down as the fight progresses, right? He's dropping when he feels he needs to drop, going up when he feels he needs to go up. Again, really cognizant of natural cover, right? He's really thinking about it. He's not putting himself in an exposed spot. He's in a really good spot here. He can kind of see everything. He can heal everyone. The only mistake he makes here is he gets a little bit tunneled on the Roadhog while his team dies. Kobe's a lamp. Okay, unfortunate. Now we're going to see some really good play. So here we amp Matrix. Perfect use of immortality. Because why? I just want to DPS right now. So I don't need to worry about if I'm going to live or die. Bam, bam, bam. I smacked the Roadhog. Okay, we tried the Genji. Unlucky. We don't quite get him. But the attempt was really good. Like, it's a really good aggressive position to use the amp Matrix. I think I would fancy you to try and take this Ana out here. I think you should try to take this Ana out. Because she's a little bit in the open. But unfortunate. We get the Roadhog. Really nice. We heal a little bit. And again, we're trying to pick off the squishies. Always really valuable as BAP. Because just one triple tap on all heads would be dead. But even 2 rounds of body shots would do with amp Matrix. Now we use the extra boost to get ourselves to good position. As the tower comes in, bam, we take out the Junkrat. Now we're pushing up with our team. But again, we realize, oh, okay, maybe that's not the best spot. So we come back. And now there's a really small detail that, like, it's maybe even imperceptible, but what I really liked it watching in real time is that Yoshi doesn't, when he's healing his Lucio here, he doesn't just hold right click. He actually waits a split second more. So watch here, as the Lucio comes in. Lucio needs healing. So he shifts, unfortunately shield comes in the way. Now watch. So one heal. Very minor thing, but there's a real subtle pause between the second shot because he waits to line it up. And I really like that small detail. Small details like that are the difference between a player who's thinking and not thinking about their gameplay. Here we go. Okay, so now the Genji comes. So, Genji jumps up. We wait. We wait. Last minute, we throw lamp. Then, this jump up over the Genji. Dodges a slash, and Yoshi lives by 1 slash. And I spoke to Yoshi about this. I said to him, when Genji's blade, consider charging extra boost and jumping over because you'll probably dodge a slash. That's exactly what he does. I don't think it's disrespectful to say, I don't think Yoshi would have done this at the start of the coaching. And maybe he'll disagree, but here. So first, the lamp is timed nicely. It's not too early, it's not too late. It protects Yoshi from the critical damage, which is what's really important. And it forces out 1 more slash from the Genji. So you see, it's all about buying time with Nano Blade. Even if you die at the end, you're just trying to kill as much time as you can from the Genji so that every slash on you is 1 less slash on your teammate. Again, watch here. Genji comes in. So that you see the slash damage doesn't come through. The immortality saves him. Then the Genji has to slash twice on the lamp, and then as he goes for this slash that would ordinarily kill Yoshi, up he goes. Up he goes. The slash doesn't connect. Now the beats come in anyway. So when that extra slash comes in, the beat cancels that. And again, we jump out over the Genji's range, out of danger. So I really like this play. I really think it's an evidence of plays that Yoshi's making that are of a higher level, of a play that he should be making that I want to see him make more regularly. And I think they're evidence of a player who's really thinking about what they're doing. So now that I've talked through all that, Yoshi, how do you feel?
In terms of Baptiste, I definitely realized my use of exo boots has dramatically increased. Also, the thing with the amplification matrix, I always thought you have to use that ultimate for your teammates, like or let your teammates use that matrix. which I now barely do. If I know, okay, I have an Ashe on the high ground next to me, maybe let her get something of that. But like usually that's my thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you gotta assess it with with the teammates at the time, right? Like, how are your teammates playing in this game? Like, are they comboing well with things? Are they following up with things well? In that case, they're probably the right kind of teammates to have Matrix for, because they will follow up. Or similarly, if there's a Reinhardt who you know is communicating, the Matrix Fire Strike is such a powerful combo because it usually takes people by surprise. So again, that might be worth doing. But like you said, there's no obsession with it. You don't need to always do like, oh, everybody must be behind the Amp Matrix. Sometimes just you doing it, picking someone off, healing, burst healing people, more than enough value. I just kind of want to get some overall thoughts, reflecting on this month that's happened. I'll let you kind of give your thoughts, and then I'll give my thoughts as your coach, how I kind of feel how this last month has gone.
In terms of if I enjoy the game more than I do than I did earlier. So I think since I have a bit more knowledge how to myself make bigger plays and or like be impactful, of course that reduces the likelihood of having toxic teammates, because if we win fights or stuff like that, or I'm doing my job, then it's not as likely to be flamed, stuff like that. I myself, like I said last week, I just thought like I'm just like here to, I don't know what I'm doing here even. Yeah, and today I said after the stream, okay, I felt like I made plays which made differences in the game, or even if it wasn't like clicking 3 people through the amp matrix, but just like keeping that one tank alive, even though he was playing brainless as F. Yeah. So I had the feeling I was impactful, which before that I had the feeling, especially with DPS becoming stronger and stronger after the roll lock, where I said, okay, basically the team wins who has the better DPS. That was my attitude back then. And that kind of changed. I realized that I can make impactful plays. On the other hand, I'm really aware of what you said, what you explained, for example, with the snowball effect. If I'm doing one small mistake, that snowballs into a bigger one, into my tank going down, into the team fight lost. So I am aware of that. I can make impactful plays if I use my tools correctly, but I also am more aware of that. It's not like, because earlier, if you one fight you showed me earlier where I just reloaded at the wrong time, for example, or hit shields too often and had not enough ammo in my clip, I would have blamed my tanks for being overly aggressive. Now I know, okay, if I don't spam the shields at the beginning, I have enough ammo to keep them alive and give them an opportunity to tip the scale in the fight. So I'm more aware of what I can do and what I can mess up. And with that, I have a feeling that I'm more a part of the game and not just staying there in the corner and hoping, praying for my Genji to make a pick or something like that. I really like the game, and I'm drawn to it if the game is played like it is supposed to be played. As a team, coordination, talking to each other, tracking ults, combining abilities and stuff like that. Then I like the game and really drawn to it. Problem is, I had a couple of times too often had the like opposite thing in ranked. So my mentality towards the game, like, you know, I was close to uninstalling it some months ago. So that's the attitude thing. Secondly, my own play style and quality of play. My most improvements, I think, I realized on Baptiste with the exo boots, with the amp matrix. Definitely there, and like having trust in my ability as Baptiste to be able to duel opponents. Because earlier I was just, okay, the left click is a bit for spamming in. Like the being a better soldier is for GMs with Baptiste. For Ana, in Ana, I definitely realized I'm not fighting anymore inside my main tanks, like a brick.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the biggest increase in game quality or gameplay quality was for Baptiste, in my opinion. Sure.
I think Bap is definitely the hero you played the most, I think, since we began this coaching. It's probably the hero we've kind of focused on most as a consequence. And I think, yeah, I think the most improvement has been had on Bap. Like you said, I think Exo Boost usage, I think every aspect of your BAP play is better now. Like, I think your Exo Boost usage is better, Immortality usage is better, Amp Matrix usage is better.
Proactively.
Yeah, exactly, using the burst at the right time. So all these, I think every aspect of your BAP play is getting better, and I think it definitely shows. Ana, I think, yeah, I think you seem, from whatever I see, you always seem to prefer picking BAP when given the chance. Ana, I think, yeah, I think there's definitely improvements to be made on Ana, but I don't think that also means that you're bad or anything, because I think, as we saw in that Hanamura game, there's a lot of really great moments. There's a lot of potential there, and I think the pop-off moments are there on Ana, and she's definitely like a healer who can do that a lot. She's definitely a hero who can, quote-unquote, carry fights. It's all about getting the most value you can the most of the time. Ultimately, no matter what someone coaches you, you have to figure out the truth for yourself, the quote-unquote truth, right? Like, a coach can only ever guide you to the right kind of principles, and then it's up to you to figure out how it works for you. Not everything said by a coach will work for every individual player, and that's true for anyone watching. Like, any number of VODs, guides, VOD reviews, anything that you might watch or consume on Reddit or YouTube or wherever can only ever help you go so far. You can never, or I would certainly never encourage you to just regurgitate it blindly. Like, it may work for 80% of people, it may work for 90% of people, it may work 80% of the time, it may work 90% of the time, but there will always be times where it fails you, where maybe it just doesn't work for you, and you have to figure out how you fit into that. Because again, the tips are also aimed at the majority of players, or how most players behave, but you might be slightly different. You might be really good, for example, you might be really good mechanically, or you might be really poor mechanically and really good in terms of game knowledge, or you might be really bad in terms of game knowledge, or you might be really bad with one aspect of a certain play. So all these things are always part of a shifting spectrum that you have to just figure out for yourself. Watch your games and figure out, like, am I too close or am I too far? What do I actually think? When do I feel like I'm being more effective? Because ultimately, unless a coach is coaching you for life, you will have to do this to yourself at some point. You have to be your own coach at some point. So anybody watching, you have to do it for yourself at the end of the day. Same principle for enjoying the game. My overall assessment is that we've had a lot of ups and downs, we've had a lot of struggles, and that is, in truth, part of anything, as I've spoken about before. Like, it's part of the journey of growth and picking up something new, or trying to really improve on something that you already love. There's always the ups and downs, there's always the pain, the growing pains, there's always the sort of, the more you care about something, the more it can hurt, basically, when it goes badly. It's like you said last week, you really, losing 9 games in a row will test even the most calm and patient person. And obviously it's not a coincidence. Like, the more negative your mindset gets, the more likely you are to lose. The more positive your mindset is, the more likely you are to not let bad things affect you. And I think we saw that today. Again, winning 7 games in a row is, losing 9 games in a row and then winning 7 games in a row speaks to something. It speaks to something beyond just your gameplay. It speaks to something about how you're enjoying or not enjoying and approaching or not approaching the game itself. So I'm really glad that at least on this last day, you were able to have this really, really positive day where you were, like I said, you were laughing with your teammates, you're having a lot of fun, you were winning lots of games in a row, and nothing was really getting to you. Nothing was bringing you down. Bad plays, bad, one round loss that was really bad wasn't bringing you down. So my hope is that you can take that to you for yourself in the future for whenever you play Overwatch. And as to how you do it, again, that's up for everyone to decide for themselves. What is the part that brings you the most joy, guys? What is it that really enjoy? Some people have said, I only play pugs. Fair enough. If that's all you enjoy, only play pugs. You don't have to play anything else. You could join a team and only scrim. Like, there's teams for all ranks. There's literally teams for people in gold and silver and platinum. So, and we've had them compete in the Medal Cup in the past. So if you enjoy only that aspect of Overwatch, where it's 6 people versus 6 people you know and like, then there's no reason you have to go out in comp and play. Or you can play with them in comp, but there's no reason you have to play without them. Similarly, if you're someone who's just like, no, I just want to grind on my own and I want to get better just on my own and playing solo queue, then do it, but figure out how to do it in a way that makes you the most happiest. The danger of always just placing is that you're stagnating without realizing it, right? Because if you only ever place, and this might be partly why we've struggled a lot as well, is that if you only ever play 5 games a season, you're really not, it's very, very unlikely you're going to lose a dramatic amount of SR, right? Unless you lose all 5 games. Even if you lose all 5 games, you're looking at maximum minus 125. But that's unlikely, right? Most likely case, let's say you're not actually that good anymore because you haven't played a lot of Overwatch. You go maybe 2 wins, 3 losses, or 1 win, 4 losses. And you've lost maybe 60 SR, 50 SR, 75 SR, right? And when that happens, you probably think, yeah, I'm still a Plat player. Yeah, of course I'm still Plat. I may have lost 50 SR, but I'm still Plat. In truth, though, every time you're just kind of playing 5 games a season, you're decaying a little bit internally because you're not. There's other people playing 50 games a season. Of course, they're going to get better faster than you because they're just playing more. They're grinding. They're getting more experience. They're getting better mechanically all the time. So there's the danger when, and this is, I know there's a lot of people who this applies to, who just kind of play 5 games a season and they're just too scared because they're too scared. They maybe are placed gold, let's say, and they're just really scared that if they keep playing, they'll drop to silver. The truth is, if you keep doing that, it's much more likely that you'll end up dropping in silver, and then you'll feel really upset because you'll be like, oh god, something's gone wrong here. I've been gold for 10 seasons and I just dropped into silver. What's that? In truth, those 10 seasons you played 50 games maybe, and so that's not really a true representation of you being in gold. That's just you not really. The placements don't really alter much, right? The placements will just kind of put you roughly where you were. So if you just play 5 games a season, you're just asking to be put where you were. And that's comforting to a lot of people. It's just like, oh yeah, well, I'm still gold. It's been 10 seasons and I'm still gold. But in truth, you're dropping all the time. All the time, the players around you are getting better. And you're not. So I think getting out of that fearful mentality of, oh god, well, I just want to stay gold. I just want to stay this rank. I'm too scared to play because, you know, you're afraid of losing that symbol. Again, in the long term, it's going to be harmful for you when you do eventually start playing, as I think maybe Yoshi you found, because before we started, you said, you know, you barely played, you've lost your sort of drive for Overwatch since you were Diamond before Rollock, and since Rollock came in, you just found it really unhelpful to play, or you just don't like playing. Well, that has a consequence because everybody else has been playing while you've been Rollocked, and you haven't. And so
the ranks have improved. The Platinum is not what has been Platinum back then.
Exactly. So everyone who was Plat when Rollock was introduced is now playing to a Diamond level, right? And they're all playing better. So now when you play in Plat, you're like, why is this not working anymore? I've been Plat for so long. In truth, you've just been hiding. You've been hiding for a while, and now the real Yoshi has emerged, the real Slim Yoshi, and he's ready to fight for his rank, I think.
SCB, I know it's for your content stuff like that, but thank you so much for that month and the effort. Like, you popped in like so often, like 80% of my streams you popped in, or even you lurked, or you were helping me out there. Took the time for the live coaching and quick play back then, and even getting in Spilo to review my stuff. That was like, I mean, I thought we would like, yeah, okay, would look a bit at the what reviews, and then okay, over the week you look what I did in the streams, and then next Monday you come in and scold me. But like, that was really amazing, and I think it might have, even though I'm not saying that I will enjoy every match. Of course, no one will enjoy every match they play, but I think that might have kept me in Overwatch, especially because there are these few people in my stream that are there on a regular basis and are saying, hey, they're looking forward for me to play some more even outside of the coaching. So yeah, that and this coaching might have given me some more fun to play this game, and yeah, like we said earlier, definitely improved, even though my SR says otherwise.
No, I'm
so yeah,
delighted
thank you
I
for
could help.
that.
Yeah, I could help, and yeah, just whatever I can do to help back, because you've done so much for the server, so it was only right. And yeah, no point not doing it properly. I mean, if I sign up to coach you, then I should do it like I would normally, so, or properly. So that concludes Get Me Out of Plat. Could not get Yoshi out of Plat, but hopefully what we gave him was, this is going to sound cheesy, but hopefully what we gave him there was a bit more valuable, as you heard there. The desire to keep playing, desire to keep getting better, and the tools to keep going. So hopefully that is the better takeaway for him. If the takeaway is that we didn't get him to Plat a little scuffed, then fair enough. I will take the blame on that one. I wouldn't blame Yoshi. I'll take the blame. And that's all I got for today, guys. Hope you found this video helpful, and I hope that you were able to learn some things that will help you both in and out of games. As always, I want to give a big shout out to my patrons and my Twitch subs who do the awesome job of supporting me. I've had a lot of people ask if I could coach them too, and although I appreciate the offers, I will not be repeating this anytime soon, as this takes a lot of time to do and I simply don't have it right now. However, I still provide one-off VOD reviews for my Patreons, so if you're interested, please check out the link in the video description. But that's it from me. I'll be back before you know it with another video. See you guys soon. Oh, and play Raid Shadow Legends with my link.